Former President Donald Trump speaking in Chicago today. That discussion just wrapping up. I believe, Eamon, it was at the Economic Club of Chicago, an event collaborated with by Bloomberg. Eamon, give us the details.
Yeah, that's right, Tyler. It was Bloomberg's editor-in-chief, John Micklethwait, at the Economic Club of Chicago, sitting down with the former president here. Just over an hour of conversation. In it, a number of economic items I wanted to bring to you, including the fact that the former president talked here about tariffs. You know, the former president has called for tariffs of as high as 10% across the board, and now he's saying in this interview that he thinks those need to go much higher than that in order to entice foreign manufacturers to bring manufacturing back into the United States. He said those tariffs could have to go as high as 50% to really incentivize manufacturing to come back quickly to the United States. He also said that he wouldn't commit one way or the other whether or not he would remove Jay Powell as Federal Reserve Chairman. He said that he believes that the President of the United States, particularly a president with business experience like himself, should be able to call up the Fed chair and say to the Fed chair what he thinks should happen on interest rates. He doesn't say that he thinks he should be able to order interest rates to go up or down, but he does say presidents should have the ability to sort of jawbone the Fed chair over the phone directly, something that presidents have really avoided doing in order to preserve the independence of the Fed in recent years. He also was asked whether or not he would want to break up Google. He said, I would do something about Google. He said they have too much power, but he declined to say specifically that they should be broken up, because he also said that the United States has an interest in having big, powerful, strong tech companies that can compete with Chinese competitors. And he was asked about TikTok. He said he sees TikTok as a threat. He sees a lot of things as a threat, he said, but he declined to say that TikTok needs to be banned in the United States. And one more thing, Tyler. Micklethwait, in this fairly contentious, as I said, interview, asked him about the reporting in Bob Woodward's recent book that he has been speaking with President Putin of Russia, former President Trump, saying here that he's not going to say whether or not he has had phone calls with Vladimir Putin. He said, I don't comment on that, but if I did do it, it's a good thing. Tyler, back over to you.
It was, as you say, a contentious conversation, and I thought the back and forth on tariffs was especially so because the former president talked about raising tariffs to 100%, 200, 300%, even more on certain categories of goods, most notably automobiles. And he doubled down on his comments about Detroit being effectively a third world kind of environment, comments that he made in Detroit earlier this week.
Yeah, this is the former president, you know, really coming up against sort of the business and economic establishment on tariffs. Trump saying here, look, you guys got it wrong. He said the Wall Street Journal got it wrong. He said, John Micklethwait, you personally got it wrong. He was very aggressive on this point, saying tariffs are actually a good thing. Tariffs will give the United States the ability to force the trade imbalances back the way I want them to go. Micklethwait pushed back on that to some degree, saying, hey, wait a second, you're going to cause prices to go up. You're going to cause costs to go up for businesses. A lot of businesses in this room won't necessarily like that. And Trump said, you know, you and the establishment, in effect, have simply been wrong on this for 25 years.
I believe he said tariff is the most beautiful word in the dictionary, among other notable things. Eamon Javers, thanks very much. Appreciate it.